Hello everyone. I'd like to start this off by saying everyone should DM. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking, I have no idea where to begin. I wouldn't know the first thing about DMing. I don't know how to DM. Well, I'm going to tell you a secret. Every DM ever has thought that way. Everyone that's ever DM'd at any point has started with those exact thoughts, having no clue where to begin. So, you're not that different. It's typical to be nervous your first time, but just get in, DM a session. Your nerves will go away very quickly. If you've played at least 3 sessions as a player, you're ready to DM. You know enough of the basic rules that you can DM a session. Alright, next up, don't worry about all the rules. You know the basics. That's just your basic guidelines. Roll the dice, have it cause and effect. Now, sometimes your players might get a little complex. It doesn't matter how thorough you are with your planning. Your players are going to find that one thing that you didn't think of. Every time they will do it. So, when it comes down to rules, and they come up with some complex scheme, make up a rule. If you don't know the rules, they don't know that. Your players aren't going to know. So, make it up. That's 90% of what D&D is. Just make it up as you go along. Plain and simple. On to the next thing. Okay. So keep your first time simple. That's important. Now, a normal session is probably going to be about 3 to 5 hours. Which may seem like a lot of time, but once you get into it and start having fun, the time will just blow right by. So, make you a one-shot adventure, something that can a campaign that can be completed in that one session for your first time. Now, remember, it's a big world, and not every single event is going to be astronomical. I'm not even sure if I'm using that word right. But there are going to be some places in the world where it's not going to be save the world. It's just going to be go fetch item X. Or slay this bear that's been terrorizing people or something. It might even be something as simple as this deer has been eating my crops and jumping over my fence no matter how tall I build it. But now they gotta go help a farmer by hunting down a deer. That simple. Maybe there's just a little cave nearby and you've got your standard necromancer. A lot of people go hunt down necromancers. So there you go. You've got you a villain, a necromancer that they have to go fight. You know it's over after they killed the necromancer and claim their reward. Well, I like to work backwards from that. Now that you know what they're fighting, go back. How are they going to get there? Maybe they entered this small village and they received a letter from the mayor requesting their help. Well, they go there. You make a simple village, blacksmith, tavern, basic stuff like that. Well, now you know there's a mayor, town hall. Throw in a town hall. Your players are almost certainly going to go straight there. Some of them might want to hit the tavern first if you have that one outcast that wants to go somewhere else. other than where you're obviously trying to lead them. But they go straight to the town hall, talk to the mayor. The mayor tells them there's a necromancer that's been living in a nearby cave, and he's terrorized people on the road. He's been raising undead, slaughtering travelers, and using their bodies to raise more servants, more undead minions. Now you've got your main bad guy, the necromancer, and you've got the lesser bad guys, the undead, usually skeletons or zombies. And now the adventurers have somewhere to go. They travel out, find the cave, fight through about 3 or 4 rooms before reaching the necromancer. That would be a good, decent one-shot campaign. There you go. Simple. That probably will take an entire session. And depending on who your players are, they may make it longer. You may not make it through within that 3 to 5 hours. Next. For this next part, I'm going to reveal to you a secret known only by the DMs. Now, this is the actual book that I have been writing my most recent campaign in. We've been working through this one, and as you can see, I'm about halfway through it. See right there, about halfway. Now, this is what the players see. The book. It's filled with quests and information from each and every town. However, continuing on with the previously mentioned simple campaign, what if the Necromancer Cave is off to the north? That's what you planned for. But you've got one player. They're not going north. They want to go whatever that direction is. They turn around in a circle and start walking in a random direction. Let's say they go west. Well, this is where the secret comes in. Because they don't know. That player might think they're throwing you off. But, keep a straight face. Make it up. Because they don't know if this book is full of information about what's over to the west, or if it's completely blank. They don't know if it looks like this, or let's find a good page. They don't know if it looks like that. The blank book is your best friend. Take an empty page. They don't know. You just jot down a few notes about what you say to remind you to go back in and create an actual map for later use. If you're wondering what this is, it's the actual map that we've been using. It's a very nice map, very big. I just happen to have this page laying around, and so I used it. I'm going to fold that up later. No, what was that other thing? Oh yeah. Next. Alright, the next thing that you really need to know. Because, yeah, I glanced over this. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. Didn't pay much attention when I started. And I still make this mistake. This is my biggest flaw. Challenge rating. If you look up a creature, which there's a lot of apps, or if you actually have the book, you can look up different monsters. There's a spot on there somewhere that says CR, and then it will have a number next to it. Anywhere from 1/4 to, I don't know, like 12 or 15 or something. Oh no, it goes really high. That number is very important, because if you don't pay attention, you'll take challenge rating 3 and use it on a level 1 party of 3 people at level 1. Now, if you understand the challenge rating properly, that's a little overpowered and your party will almost die, or one of them will die. Let's see. Yeah, one of them did die. The challenge rating, if it is a challenge rating 1, that means that 4 players, 4 characters at level 1 can take on 1 challenge rating 1 creature. 1 level 1 person, character, can take on a single challenge rating 1/4. Whatever the challenge rating is, it's meant for 4 characters of that level. Something very, very important, because you'll plan out this big, long campaign. It's supposed to be grand, and they will almost die in the very first fight because you did not pay attention to the challenge rating. If you're going to create your own monsters, which I highly encourage, I encourage you to make your own monsters, but go in, figure out what level you want your characters to be, what level your players will be at this point, and look at other monsters with that same challenge rating. Go through and look at their armor class and their health, and make your characters have about the same armor class and health. Now here's for my last bit of information. It's one of my favorite tricks, or secrets. I wouldn't really call it a trick, but I tend to not tell everyone this, and I'm not sure if any of my players actually know that I do this. But when it comes to who succeeds and who fails, say they're trying to jump across a gap, or a river, or something of that sort. Well, you've got it scripted where if one of them fails, this is what happens. So one of them jumps across the river and doesn't make it, they get swept away in the water, in the rapid current. Well, you can either set a specific number that they need to succeed at and make it across, or you can do what I do. All your players take their D20 and they roll. Well, I've already worked so hard scripting what happens if one of them fails. How will they get back? Well, instead of setting an actual number, they all decide to try and jump across. Have them all roll. Lowest number. That's who falls in. Now, if you do this on a trap, and they have to make some sort of athletics or acrobatics or some kind of dexterity save to avoid the trap, and say the lowest number is a 16. Well, that D10 trap, that 1D10 trap, they did a pretty high number, so don't punish them too much. Say it just scrapes them and only does 1D6. Simple. But have them roll against each other Don't tell them that. Just tell them to roll. Take a glance in your book. Give them the assumption that you have a number selected beforehand. Because the biggest, most important part of DMing is realizing your players have no idea what you've got planned and what you're making up as you go along. They don't know what's in your book and what's not. So you can sit there with a blank book and make up an entire campaign as you go. I personally wouldn't recommend this. Don't recommend going into too much detail or too little. Just have point A, point B, point C, etc. Have your locations, have a basic idea. Have a list of names. Don't assign people to different locations, because they might walk into this one building and need to interact with 30 characters in there. Meanwhile, there's another place that they don't even visit, so you don't have to add characters there. Have you a list of names, make up the characters as you need them. Have just a basic idea of what you want this to happen. And don't get attached to any of your NPCs. Because there is a very good chance that if you have an important character, the players will kill it. And if you script someone to die, be ready, because the players just might save their life. And then you didn't plan for that, so you're just like, okay, so he's there celebrating the victory with you. That's about it. So that about wraps it up. Get you a notebook, plan out something simple, and talk to your DM, because after DMing for a long time, your DM is going to want a break. So if you ask them, they will almost certainly say, yeah, you can DM the next game, or as soon as we finish up this campaign, you can work on your campaign until then, and after we finish the current one, you can DM. Because your DM wants to take a break and play, be a player as much as you enjoy it. So give it a shot, and if you don't like it, you'll at least have a new way of looking at your DM and understanding what they go through planning each campaign. A basic. Be right back. There's a squirrel after some fruit. This squirrel was after fruit. Now, where was it? Okay.